treated like shit.
We are not given any kind of benefits, no medical.
Yeah, of course. Adjunct professors don't get anything.
No retirement, no
nothing.
family leave, no sick leave, nothing.
To support his family, Rob Bala drives to 3 different Ohio universities
Insane.
to teach 6 English classes and tutors on the side.
Insane.
He had pneumonia last fall, worked anyway.
Ellen Tara James Penny is an adjunct professor at San Jose State. On most nights, she sleeps in her car.
Can you imagine finding out your college teacher lives in their car? That's almost as bad as finding out your 2nd grade teacher doesn't live at school. Mrs. Caldwell? Why are you at the movies? And who gave you jeans? If your professor is running from college to college, working through pneumonia, and living in their car, it'll probably impact the quality of your education.
Duh.
Look, no one wants to go to office hours in an '07 Honda Civic. He's like, hey, don't worry, it's leather seats. Adjuncts have it pretty bad, but there is one group that has it even worse. Teaching assistants, grad students, who are also paid to teach undergrads. Now, we usually think of TAs as slightly hornier professors, but they do a lot. At Purdue,
This is so risque.
26% of grad students are the primary teacher for at least one course. And if you want a 25-year-old to explain David Foster Wallace to you, don't go to college. Just go on Hinge. TAs average less than $14,000 a year.
Yeah,
14
TAs get paid
grand.
nothing.
The only way it could have been worse is if they got paid in Losing My Religion dances. So it's no surprise that tons of grad students are doing this.
Hundreds of grad student workers at UC Santa Cruz are putting their jobs on the line. They've been on strike now for nearly 2 weeks, demanding higher pay.
And they're joined by other schools north and south. Strikes are underway at UC Santa Barbara and UC Davis.
Ben Shear, who has scratches on his head and arm, says cops arrested him for not moving when police approached the demonstrators in riot gear.
Why are the police wearing riot gear? What is Ben gonna do? Attack you with specific examples from the text? As many of you know, UC Santa Cruz is an old friend of the show, and it's a pretty progressive place. So of course the school listened to the students, considered their concerns, and decided they could go fuck themselves.
We've learned the UC Santa Cruz grading strike continues with a new round of graduate teaching assistants being fired. The striking group says this leaves the grad students ineligible for unemployment benefits during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Ah, now I know why your school's mascot is a banana slug. Because your administration is gross, slimy, and reminds everyone of flaccid dicks. Look, I know I used to say this as a joke, but now I mean it sincerely. Transfer to Berkeley. Your parents will be prouder. By the way, grad students have been protesting at Harvard, Yale, and the University of Chicago. So if you're an incoming freshman, think about what this means. You're paying a lot of money for school, but only a fraction of it is going to your education. So you're probably wondering, where's my money going?
There are people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars as presidents, as chancellors, and between 1970 and 2008, the adjunct pay has gone down 49%. College president salary has gone up 35%.
Let's break this down. While colleges were losing tenured professors, they were beefing up administrators at an insane rate. In over 30 years, the number of administrators at private schools shot up 135%. I'm talking deans, coordinators, vice presidents, provosts.
And this is why, for my alma mater, not Charles Drew, so you guys can do the research and figure out which university I'm talking about. There's only 2. I just think it's so disgusting how much presidents make at universities, because what do you guys do? Like, what do you really do? You take your tasks and you delegate them to different people, different provosts, different deans, different whatever, until it reaches down to the students. And then on top of that, secretaries of presidents also make guap. And I'm just wondering, why is all that money going to you guys when it should be funneled to the professors, the ones who are actually teaching the students? Or why can't it be funneled to the students instead of cramming 3 freshmen in a 2-person dorm because you over-accepted students? Yeah, okay.
By the way, what the fuck is a provost?
Literally.
Does anybody actually know?
No.
Because I Googled it and all it said was a person who does a thing at a university. So I
That's
clicked on
actually crazy.
Wikipedia and a pop-up said, there are some things you aren't meant to know, Hasan. But I clicked it anyway, and then this happened. I didn't realize EDM could sound so threatening. What I'm saying is, if I mysteriously vanish, you know what happened.
This guy's weird.
High-level administrators are raking it in.
They
In less than
make so
10
much money.
years, the number of presidents and chancellors making over $1 million went from 28 to 76. That is
Why do presidents of universities make $1 million? For doing what? For doing what? The president of the United States, their salary isn't even that high. So I'm curious.
an exponential spike. But presidents aren't even the highest paid administrators.
He said it before I
If
did.
you want to see who's really making bank, don't look at who runs the school. Look at who runs the endowment. So if
Oh
any of
my
you guys
God,
have
endowments
graduated,
are
you know
awful.
that block number that randomly calls you asking for money? They're like, hey, we're your college, remember us? And you're like, nope, I've
Bye.
given you assholes enough, never call me again.
Literally.
The money they collect from that call goes into an endowment. And the people who
Untaxable,
manage that
I
endowment
believe.
often get paid more than anyone on campus. In 2014, Yale spent $400 million on investment managers, nearly 3 times what they spent on tuition assistants, which is odd. Because these funds are massive.
Princeton reported an endowment of $26.1 billion last year.
Stanford has a $27 billion endowment.
The University of Texas, which has a $31 billion endowment.
Harvard does happen to be the richest college in the world. It has a $40 billion endowment.
40 billion! That is bigger than the economies of half the countries in the world,
That's
including
insane.
Afghanistan, Honduras, and Cambodia. Basically, Harvard's endowment is bigger than the countries destroyed by its alumni.
It's
You
disgusting.
gotta give them props. Do you know how hard it is to be the biggest murderer from your school when you went to the same school as the fucking Unabomber? Bottom line, when you donate to a university, you're basically donating to a hedge fund
Yeah, I
with
don't
the
donate
same
to.
name as...
I don't donate to universities. My university doesn't even call me anymore because I specifically told them not to call me. Why would I donate? Why? For what? Wasn't the tuition donation enough?
as a university. And clearly, endowment managers have a lot of responsibility. But the question is, does it benefit your education?
Harvard's website does say that it doesn't use endowments to reduce tuition because, one, they have to maintain the endowment, and much of it is restricted or set away for specific projects.
Like
In
what?
2018, most of the money was put into things like hedge funds, real estate, stocks, and bonds.
To be fair, an endowment isn't like a bank account. There are restrictions. But criticizing them has become a bipartisan issue.
These universities use the money to pay their administrators, or
Literally.
put donors' names on buildings, or just store the money, keep it, and invest it.
Wait, it's like Trump and Bernie swapped just one opinion. Somewhere Bernie Sanders is giving a speech about how ugly Ted Cruz's wife is. She's a 4 at best. Swipe left. Look, if anyone knows about scamming college kids, it's Trump.
Literally.
But he is right. Most schools only spend about 5% of their endowments every year. And Harvard admits that 30% of what they do spend is flexible. That's $600 million flexible dollars a year. So maybe the next time there's a global pandemic,
They'll use that
you
money.
could do more to help these low-income students who had to start a GoFundMe. But
Disgusting.
now it's cool. Blow another $100 million on vineyards instead. So when you see schools relying on gig workers, firing employees who strike, boosting president pay, and dumping money into hedge funds, this isn't the playbook of an academic institution. This is the
They run a
playbook
business.
of a corporate institution.
Of course.
And that's a shift that's been going on for a long
years.
time.
Since the recession in 2008, universities have seen their revenues decline, and overall state funding for public colleges and universities remains $9 billion below its pre-recession levels.
If you go to an Ivy League school, you're fine. But state funding for public colleges never recovered from the 2008 financial crisis. Tuition used to make up 1/3 of their funding. Today, it's almost half, which might not seem like a big deal, but it comes with a huge shift in priorities.
Yeah.
If schools live or die by tuition, what do you think priority number 1 is going to be? Chasing down kids who come from money.
It's housing fit for royalty.
The best of the best amenities.
And it's offered only to college students.
This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
With state-of-the-art appliances, chandeliers, and a wine fridge. Outside, there's a private jacuzzi. Inside, a shower head with Bluetooth capability.
The music comes out the middle.
I get trying to appeal to rich kids, but have they ever met one? No one's ever been like, that guy is so rich. I bet he listens to music out of his shower head. Before COVID, colleges were transforming into playgrounds for rich kids. I'm talking about a ball pit at MIT, a 5-story rock climbing wall at Auburn, even a private steakhouse at High Point University. But for some reason, colleges have been obsessed with one specific amenity.
Students at Louisiana State University can now enjoy a 500-foot lazy river that spells out LSU.
They're getting a lazy river at college. This is all part of a new sports facility at the University of Central Florida.
When I saw that they had a lazy river, that definitely moved it up on my top priority list.
They have a lazy river, but they still aren't paying their professors adequately. You have a lazy river, but students are crying out for more resources in their dorms, or because they live in these crappy dorms that are like far away from campus.
What's with this theme park bullshit?
I really don't
Colleges
understand.
shouldn't be fun like Disney World.
Literally.
They should be soul crushing like Epcot Center.
Okay, I don't know about
Fuck
that,
golf
but-
ball of sadness. Seriously, remember being a kid? Your parents would be like, oh, let's go to Epcot. And you're like, yeah. Then you get there and they're like, hey kids, want to learn about physics? And you're like, fuck this place. By the way, that lazy river at LSU was part of a
cost
renovated
so
facility
much money.
worth almost $85 million, which is crazy when you
actually
find out where that
very
money could have gone.
disgusted.
LSU senior Catherine McKinney took us on a tour of what she says are her school's questionable priorities. At the library, we saw some of the building literally
falling apart.
The library has water in the basement and rugs from another generation.
Right.
But
there's a
we
lazy
have a lazy
river.
river.
Oh, we have a lazy river, so maybe I should just go relax.
Do they have chemistry? The school is falling apart, but I feel like they're vibing. At the very least, they're definitely going to turn this into a rom-com called The Lazy River. What is going on?
Hold on, sir.
We are turning universities, one of our best tools for social mobility, into a carnival cruise that caters to the rich. And that inequity is only going to get worse.
Before the pandemic, the gap was closing. More low-income first-generation students were enrolling in colleges nationwide. Now advocates worry that progress could be lost. High school senior Omar Quevedo Katana had to start working full-time at Walmart after his mother lost her house cleaning job.
It's really just me trying to keep everyone afloat. And yeah, it's been tough.
Omar's situation is exactly what a lot of students are going through. You feel like you're in a catch-22. You can't afford college, but the rules of modern society are forcing you to go. So while we're figuring out what college will even look like in the future, now would be a good time to ask, what value are you even getting out of these schools? We've clearly shown college is a business, which means you're the customer. And I don't want to be an Indian dad about this, but you gotta make sure you are getting what you pay for. Because in 10 years, a lazy river ain't gonna mean shit on your LinkedIn.
That was very good. He didn't really give like his own perspective on whether or not college is still worth it. I think he just kind of left it open-ended and said, you know, you got to make sure you're getting what you pay for. But I think from my perspective, it's really hard to say because just like you said with the statistics, the percentage of people who have a college degree who are working all these jobs, it's increased. Before it was like 30-something%, now it's 55%. You have to ask yourself what you're going to do if you aren't going to go to college. And I don't know if it's the Nigerian in me. I believe that going to college is worth it because it just gives you that security. All these jobs that are now requiring college degrees, pretty soon it'll be like 90% of jobs require you to have a college degree or you can't do anything. I wouldn't say you have to necessarily go to these fancy universities that cost so much money. Spend 2 years at a state school and then transfer over and try and get scholarships or any other way you could possibly get school paid for or work while you're in college. Also, it depends on what school you go to. My undergrad, I don't feel like it was as beneficial as I would have hoped for it to be. I made the most of it by working in jobs that were related to my major, so I was able to practice what I was learning. I believe that my master's university taught me a lot and I'm able to take what I learned from my master's and actually use it in the workforce. So I think it depends on what university you get. I think I got everything I paid for out of Charles Drew and I don't feel like I got anything that was what it was worth at all from my undergrad. Do the research, make sure your school actually cares, make sure your school actually gives you the resources you need. College does feel like a scam at times, but you do get a lot out of it. Just like you said, social skills, you learn a lot about yourself. I've seen people who didn't go to college and then I have obviously my college friends, two different people. It's two different thought processes, two different mindsets. And my overall opinion is I think the right college is worth it for the right degree. I'm not going to tell anyone not to go to school, but I think it all is circumstantial. If you have more questions, you can always schedule a consult with me on KyyahSavage.com. Until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching this video.